Hello, hello, hello. Good evening, everyone. Come on in, come on in. Give a few people a few minutes to come in. A moment. Hope everybody's had a pretty good day. Let's see here. We're gonna get started in a few minutes. I won't be before you long because I am in the midst of cooking and juggling so many tasks at once. So that's the life of a single parent, just multitasking. Let's see here. So today's topic is mindset versus reality as a single parent. I kind of want to give people a few more minutes to come in, but I believe this is going to be an enlightening topic. It is one for me. And so I hope it will resonate with you all today. And then you can add some of the strategies and tools and things that I provide. Hey, it's definitely at your discretion of what you'll take from today. Happy Thriving Thursday, Lakeisha. Thank you so much for joining. So, welcome everyone to today's live session. Again, the topic for today is mindset versus reality. Um, I want to help you shift your perspective on this single parent journey. What we're going to do is explore how our beliefs shape our experiences as single parents, and together we'll uncover why our expectations sometimes clash with reality and how we can realign our mindset to create a more resilient, more empowered, more, how can I say it, self controlled life. Um, I'm just drawing from my own experiences. So, as a single parent, and I invite you to just join in on the conversation. And hey, I love to see all comments too. So, the first thing we're going to go through is first topic we're going to talk about is expectation versus reality, understanding that gap between the two. So, society and cultural narratives often set high, sometimes unrealistic standards for what family life should look like. But you don't have to look like everyone. You have to figure out what works for you and your family life, what that looks like, um, what that entails, and staying in your lane is necessary. I have to tell myself that, or had to tell myself that for a while. And so I also make sure that I give myself reminders of um, staying in my lane, and doing things in the way that I see fit, not living in somebody else's point of view of me, or what the world's view of me should be, or cultural views. And so personal experiences and past challenges can reinforce these expectations, making reality seem like a constant struggle. It also means sometimes that you're struggling with something that you've been brought up with, an idea of what it looks like. And then the way of shifting those perspective is learn to accept life exactly how it is. Life is not a perfect mold. Sometimes once you get one thing down, something else comes. And so you kind of have to take it one day at a time. And so learn to embrace what you already have. Learn to embrace your authenticity by celebrating everyday achievements rather than chasing an unattainable idea. Now, I'm not saying that the things and goals that you set for yourself and dreams that you have are not attainable. I am saying that make sure that you look at where your mindset is and versus what your reality is. Because what if you don't have the capacity to handle what the idea that you have? What is the process that you have to go through in order to get to that idea, the fruition of it. So you want to define success on your own terms. It's not the bigger picture that you're going to, but it's right now. It's the small things that you um, encounter that get you to that bigger goal that you're trying to reach. And so even in focusing on in the process that you're in, It's best to focus on your growth process, whether big or small. Look how much you've grown. Look how much resilience you have. Look how much you haven't allowed somebody else's situation to control what yours look like. And so sometimes the next step I want to go into, sometimes we have this idea of I have to do it all mentality. And the way of overcoming that is identify what those pressures are. A lot of times there's a belief as single parents that we have to manage every role flawlessly. And that's not the case. If that was the case, then we wouldn't have, any issues. Excuse me, guys. My allergies are doing something today. And so every role, as far as like being the provider, being the caregiver, and working a job, and being a parent, or being a friend, a sister, cousin, brother, whatever that may be, a father, that's something that is manageable, but there are going to things that will come up that you will have to handle in a different type of way. And so when you have this I have to do it all mentality, this mindset often comes from an internalized expectation of yourself and external pressures. And so with both of those combined, you are adding more pressure than you need. And so whatever those pressures are, identify what those are. I'm big on journaling, write them down. And then you have to release. What that does is the internalized expectations and external pressures, it allows you to um, put yourself in this perfectionism type of mindset. And so, in order to release those, you want to recognize that it's okay to delegate things. It's okay to ask for help, and sometimes just say no. The ask for help part sometimes is very challenging. It's been challenging for me over the years, but I just recently said, you know what, I'm going to ask because I need help. And God didn't put us on this earth to just do things by ourselves. And so sometimes, whether that's just thinking something through, whether that's getting someone's opinion, it doesn't mean that you're going to actually do what they say do, but sometimes just to brainstorm with someone works. Works to get your thoughts out, and you're not just keeping them in your head. And so saying no a lot of times to certain things, not just people, but certain things, it removes some of those pressures as well. If you can't do something, doesn't mean you fail. It's actually wisdom when you choose to let go of those things that are pressure um, trigger things, as far as like your internal your expectations of yourself, or external pressures like from family members, from friends, from jobs, whatever that may be. Release that and say no. Give yourself grace, have compassion for yourself. Allow yourself to know that you're not perfect, that imperfection is key. Because sometimes if you don't fall, how do you know what it feels like to get back up? You know what it's like to fall, but when you get back up, it's like, wasn't so bad after all. And make sure that I'm real big on boundaries. Even with people, children, jobs, even with yourself. Like, I'm not able to do this right now, and it's okay. Right now doesn't mean ever or never. It means just not right now, not in this season, maybe the next season. And so that ties into your self worth and your identity beyond your parenthood, rediscovering who you are. Often as a single parent, we feel defined solely by our role, and, overlooking what is unique about us, whether that's a singing ability, or a dancing ability, or if you take care of people well as a good caregiver, whether you write well, writing books, you can put, things that people have seemingly done away with these days are subject, verb, noun agreements. And maybe I'm telling my age when I'm saying that, but um, at the end of the day, I feel like whatever your unique talent is, find out what it is, even if it was something that you did when you were younger, whether that's playing basketball, playing football, whatever that may be. Don't overlook those things, because you can still invest in yourself. And because our past experiences can or may lead to feelings of inadequacy, and it can diminish your self-worth. It can let you know that, hey, you're not worth it anyway, or you're not enough, or you never were enough. All you're good for is some people told me that when I had my children, and it was a big deal to have children out of wedlock and not married. And so I was told, that's all you're gonna be good for is making babies. Now that was a rough one, but I didn't let that define me. And so what you want to do is you want to build a stronger identity. You want to cultivate practices that reinforce your value beyond your parenthood. Like I stated, whatever it is something that you want to do. Invest in yourself. Find out what the small steps are to get to that bigger picture. A lot of times, what we don't take time to do is go through the process. We have the idea and then we want to be there. It doesn't happen overnight. Give yourself grace. You got to learn it. You got to figure out what works, what doesn't work. So you do have to go through the process. And so engage in activities that's going to nurture that passion or that skill that you're wanting to increase, or your personal growth. Use affirmations and self-reflection to continuously build a resilient and confident self-image. Last but not least, you want to create a new vision for your life. Envision what is impossible, but envision it as a possibility. So you got to shift your mindset from just surviving day to day to thriving. That's what Thriving Solo is all about. Designing a future that aligns with your deepest values and dreams. You don't want to go into a new season with the old mindset. You don't want to transition into a new level, or elevate to a new level, and you still have old patterns that get you no results. That's why you were needing to go to a new level, because you wanted something different. So you have to go through that process of whatever it's going to take to transition from the old things or the old way things were to something new, something different. It's going to require you to have a clear vision. It's going to require you to do something different than what you're doing right now. I don't care if you've been doing it 5, 10, 15, 20 years. It's time for a change. And it's not you can't raise your children the same way. You can't go to a job the same way. Every child at each stage, they are different. They're different from being an infant, from a newborn to an infant to a year old to 2 years old. They go through stages. Every 6 months, they need something, whether it's clothes, whether it's running out of formula, whatever that may be. I have one that's is an adult, and the other one is getting ready to finish high school. And the thought of him going to college is like, okay, I gotta pull back from him now. And so I only have one more remaining that I'm gonna have to pull back from, and I'm learning to pull back from her early, just to let her have a problem-solving, decision-making skill set or mindset, because let her think for herself, not me just doing everything for her. And so the way to envision these possibilities, the things that seem impossible, to make them a possibility is, develop a daily practice. Like I said, journaling and meditation to keep you centered and aware. Your goal setting have to and must be an actionable item. It has to be a realistic goal, even if it's personal or your responsibilities as a parent, your personal business goals, whatever that may be, your dreams, your aspirations, something that you want to do. Make sure those goals are actionable, realistic goals. And, people that you connect with that have the same mindset or the same goals, connect with those people, build a relationship, engage with them, so that you'll have a supportive network, so that when things get a little challenging, that you can go to and say, hey, how did you do this? How did you keep your head above the water when things seemingly was hard or challenging? And so that way you can have practical advice, something that you can set another goal for and accomplish it. So I hope I've said something today or this afternoon or this evening that you have been able to take with you, been able to understand even about your situation that you've already established, or something that you can take into your next actionable goals. But I do appreciate you all joining on today. Just remember, every step that you take, no matter how small, is a victory in creating a life that reflects both your strengths and your dreams. Keep challenging those limiting beliefs, celebrate your progress, and most importantly, envision a future where you thrive as both an individual and a parent. And so let's continue, having these type of conversations. You can join my Facebook group. You can follow me on Instagram. My Instagram group is called the Single Parent Life Community. That's on Facebook and Instagram. And thank you so much, Lakeisha. I appreciate you joining. And, or you can send me a private message My email address is info at thesingleparentlifecoach.com. Hope you guys have a great evening. And until then, have a great evening. I'll see you next Thursday.